Currently, the base radius is 300 units. To give an idea, I'm standing that exact distance from my base computer. That is quite far, so why would you want to extend your base radius? Well, there are several reasons why you want to do that. Whether it's to just build a large base, or perhaps on an elevated position, or, which probably why you're watching this guide, to expand your base so you can get to those out-of-reach hotspots. In today's guide, I'm gonna explain the best practices in expanding your base, while covering the pitfalls and issues builders commonly face when trying this themselves. Before we jump into the techniques to expand your base, let us go over some information you should be aware of. The common mistake when talking about the base radius is that it is assumed that this is the area you can build in. However, there is a difference between how far you can build and where you lose your building rights. The base building radius has, in theory, no limits. That is why you can extend your base in the first place. The limit we are speaking of is in fact the restrictions to your building rights. Once you step outside that limit, the building items in your menu will be reduced to portable devices. So, to build further out, we need to extend the zone where our building rights are permitted. As told in the beginning, the standard radius is 300 U, but it is possible to extend that to 1000 U. Apart from using mods, that is the hard limit. It is still possible to build further out of 1000 U as long as you keep your character inside the area with your building rights. I will show you how to do this further along the guide. How do we extend the radius of our building rights? The process is quite simple. When standing at the edge of the 300 U, go and select one of your building items. I prefer using walls as they take the least of resources while still be quite visible. Okay, with the wall selected, move it outside of the building limit while leaving your character inside of it. You can notice the part can be built in the distance even while no longer being inside the limit of our base. Now, what happens if we build that part? The building piece, when placed, will become registered to the base computer. Apart from that, it will create a small bubble around that part where building rights are possible. The building rights around one single piece are 55 U. That means you can now move your character to that wall and build another wall again in the distance. There are some things you need to take note of, however. If you build the wall further than 55 U away, there will be a gap between the two buildable areas. This will cause you issues later on if you're planning on pulling wires and supply pipes along that extension. Therefore, it's better to keep the walls tighter together. Another thing to be taking note of. Extending your base radius does not have an overall effect on the whole radius, but only provides you with a narrow extension in the direction you expand to. This means if you wish to expand in the other direction as well, you will have to do the same exercise. Finally, extending your base with this technique is not permanent. Deleting the walls between the areas will also remove the building rights they came with. By the way, all of this applies both horizontally and vertically. By building parts 50 U away from each other, it is possible to extend your building rights up to 1000 U. Once you reach that hard limit, it is no longer possible to extend those building rights any further. But that does not mean you're not allowed to build further. As long as you keep your character inside the building rights limit, you can move your building camera further out and continue building. Even better, with the building camera extension trick, you can build as far as you dare to. Simply leave your character inside the building rights radius. Select the building part and go into your build camera. Move the build camera to the max distance you can go. Once there, double tap the button to activate the build camera. This will deactivate and activate the build camera in a quick succession, which will recenter the camera and allow you to move even further. It is possible to keep on doing this, which will allow you to build even further than you would ever need. Again, there are a few things you should be aware of. First, it is best to have your character stand on the planet's surface for this, as building parts despawn when moving out of sight. And it might happen you fall through the terrain as well when you go way too far. So be extra careful when doing this in permadeath. It also can happen that power and extractor supply are interrupted when going too far. This is due to the rendering distance in No Man's Sky. Secondly, using the build camera extension will have to be done every time if you wish to do any adjustments to the build outside of that area. In the end, overextending the base radius should only be done in extreme cases. Most of the time, you should be able to reach all of the hotspots if planned properly. In case you did not figure it out yet, having a base radius of 1000 U means you can span your build over 2000 U. So by planning the perfect location of your base computer, you should be able to cover 2 or even more hotspots without having to overextend. By the way, if you're wondering if moving your base computer after claiming it can help to extend even further, the answer is no. Even when moving the base computer, the center point of the base will always remain where the base computer was planted and claimed at first. Now, it might happen that you load up your game or teleport to your base and you notice that you cannot extend your base at all. Even simply reloading the game does not work. The trick to fix this is to save and reload the save. Simply jump in and out your ship or save at the save point and reload your save. This should recalibrate your location and extending should be possible again. Expanding your base is very handy for reaching those great hotspots like power, mineral or gases. While extremely expanded bases might be hard to render for your visitors, this technique is perfect for personal farms. I hope all of this was informative to you. Let me know in the comments if you have any other purposes for extending bases or perhaps if you have any questions. If you enjoyed this guide, then don't forget to press that thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. This was Beeblebum. Goodbye for now.